And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. We're back on again, everyone. It's Gerald Glassford. More NBA observations because the NBA is working real hard to go ahead and make some news. We're back. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts, Inside Sports, fantasy football. Also, as well, Joe Soros here. He hasn't left yet to Northern California, but I'm sure he said he will be. But as for now, he's at the home base in Temecula. Please go ahead and support him today by heading over to Simblades, simblades.com. Plus, also, he is Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. Plus, also, as well, of course, got to go ahead and support the great folks. We had a tremendous time earlier today for the NBA mock draft. Big shout out to the Legend 350. Please support _Legend 350 on YouTube. Also, as well, Stone Hansen. Stone Hansen is the man when it comes to the NBA draft, not only with his show with the other guys at the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast, but also at report_court on Twitter. Check out his analysis of our mock draft. Every single draft choice that we made and the trades that we made are scrutinized by the man himself, Stone Hansen, and he's got his big board now available for you of the 75 top players on his list at report_court on Twitter. Also, as well, of course, OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Go ahead and check out what Alfred Esmond is doing there. Great job by him as GM of several clubs today. Also, as well, Laker Tom. Trading Tom with some good trades, and I think there was one questionable one in there, the one he gave to me when I was GM of the Chicago Bulls. I thought that one was kind of out there, but he offered it, so I took it. You can go ahead and check out all the action earlier today on the NBA mock draft, plus also as well, Lakerholics.com and at LakerTom on Twitter, plus our good friends, of course, Empire Jeff TV, Lakers in 5, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights, also as well, of course, John McCallion channel. Big shout out to John McCallion. If you're listening or watching, big shout out to you, my friend. But all these great channels, all these great places you need to follow, like, and support. And of course, most importantly, please like, follow, and subscribe. We need more subscribers. So please subscribe today to get the latest notifications. And please like, if you're there, 50, 60, 70 people, come on. You guys can just take a moment out of your day to like the video that you're watching for like half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. I see how long you guys stay on there. It doesn't take that much effort. Please help us out by going ahead and liking and subscribing, because then you'll get the latest notifications on when we go live, like tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Eastern for the NBA draft right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Cool Bro says, yes, subscribe and like, or Joe will come to your house. I don't know if he'll do that. It's a lot of air travel involved. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is Gerald Glassford, Joe Soros here. We needed to come back on to go ahead and talk to you out there. Hopefully, John Costa from Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner will be able to join us as well. He said he would try to come on later. We have a ton to talk about as far as NBA trades. Eric says the trade market is not great. Well, they're making trades regardless, Eric, because there was 2 big trades already, which have ramifications in the Eastern Conference and possibly the Western as well. And here today to discuss what's going on is, of course, Joe Soros. Joe, great to have you here. One of the deals we'll go ahead and talk about in a sec was just like draft choices for draft choices, getting back draft choices, but freeing up draft choices possibly for a run at a big name star, which we'll talk about in a sec. But the main trade that was done today by Brooklyn, one of their 2 big trades, was Mikal Bridges. They finally found an offer that they liked to Mikal Bridges. I've heard last year 3 and 4 number 1 draft picks didn't get it done. They played this year with Mikal Bridges as the number 1 player on their team, and it didn't work out so well. But they were able, Joe, to go ahead, and it worked out in their favor because they got 5 number 1 draft choices, and I'll go ahead and read the particulars on it here in a sec, from the New York Knicks. So your thoughts on Mikal Bridges heading to, well, actually just a little ways down the road from Brooklyn to New York. Not a big trek as far as, logistically, you could stay at the same house pretty much, but he is going to a much better team.
So the Villanova team is officially assembled. The Avengers, you can start calling Villanova the Avengers. They have assembled. Their entire assembly is together here at this point. And the Knicks are going for a championship next year. The return sets the market for someone like Trae Young. Would you say Trae Young is a better basketball player than Mikal Bridges?
At this point, yes. I was kind of not on the fence this time last year, but I could definitely say yes after a down season for Mikal Bridges.
If that's the case, so what is Trae Young going? Trae Young and Atlanta's probably excited. Ooh, is that the market? I'm not giving up 7 first-round picks for anyone, unless it's maybe Victor Wembanyama. Anyone else? Anyone else worth 7 first-round picks?
Luka?
Maybe Luka. But he's got to get in better shape. Is Luka going to last?
That was a source of conversation on last night's show. Yes.
Yeah, there's some Mavericks fans that are out there saying we'd love to have Luka. Sure, we'd love to have Luka, but at what cost? Is Luka going to be around in 3 years, 4 years, or is he going to start getting injury? All you got to do is look at Michael Finley taking the beer out of his hand, like a child, like an adult taking candy away from the baby. And we saw what happened with Dallas in the finals. They looked underwhelming, if to say the least. So this is a bad sign for the Lakers if they want to trade for a third talent, because they don't have enough assets to go and get someone like Trae Young based off this trade. So, but we kind of sort of knew that already. The Lakers are going to need a 3-team, possibly a 4-team deal for everyone to get what they want. I don't know if it's possible now, if this is the parameter. I'm going to let you break down the details on the trade, and then I want to mention what I mentioned before we got on the show on what their haul is since the Durant trade. It's pretty crazy.
So for this trade, to get everybody up to speed on it, actually, let me go ahead and see if I can pop that on here in a sec. I'm going to share it with you, everybody. I'm going to use Bobby Marks's post from Twitter. Sometimes it's hard to follow these things as far as the trades and transactions when it includes draft choices. That's sometimes hard to follow on Twitter. But here's what I got. The Knicks get Mikal Bridges. Brooklyn Nets get Evan Fournier, Quentin Grimes, which is just salary fodder, and in case Evan Fournier really salary fodder, if I could say that correctly. They get a 2024 first-round pick from Dallas. Hi, Frank. Top 10 protected. 2025 first-round pick from Milwaukee. Top 4 protected. 2025 first-round pick from New York, unprotected. 2027 first-round pick from New York, unprotected. 2029 first-round pick from New York, top 5 protected. Ooh, that's a lot of stuff. But you notice, Joe, 2 of those picks are in 2025, which is considered to be one of the best draft classes ever, or at least so far. Your thoughts, my friend, and how you think it's going to relate to another trade that Brooklyn pulled off right around the same time with Houston in regards to swapping some draft picks, getting some draft capital back, and how Houston is trying to relay that into and parlay that into a big name, possibly on the way to Houston.
Yeah, Houston's the next. Or I was surprised at that news here in the last hour or so that I read it. But Brooklyn, since the Durant trade, has accumulated Cam Johnson, 8 unprotected first-round picks. Let me repeat that: 8 unprotected first-round picks. That's not counting their pick. Or is it? One protected,
I mean, that's what they're trying to equate it to.
One protected first-round pick, a 2028 first-round pick swap, a 2028 unprotected pick swap, and then 3 second-round picks since they've traded Kevin Durant. And remember, guys, they got Kevin Durant as a free agent. They didn't trade anything for Kevin Durant. So the Brooklyn
crazy.
Nets are on a path. Should they get Cooper next year? Let's say they win the lottery and get Cooper first overall. We all know Cooper's going to be the first pick, right?
Yep.
Right. Cooper Flag.
Cooper Flag.
Don't know. Yes. Imagine if Brooklyn gets Cooper Flag and then essentially becomes the Eastern version of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Well, on top of that, Joe, and I want to bring it again to Twitter, to what I said with Agent Wojnarowski this time. I'm going to take a look at his tweet, because Houston and Brooklyn had a very busy day today. I'm hoping they got all these picks on a draft. They got everything written out on a whiteboard so they can go ahead and make sure everything's good on it. So let me go ahead and get the particulars on that here in just a second here. I'm going to show it on the screen right there. All right, so what I got here is Brooklyn has a deal with Houston to return the Nets' 2026 first-round pick for a 2027 Phoenix Suns first-round pick. The Rockets also acquire a 2025 right to swap Houston OKC first for 2025 Suns first-round pick, which in turn means that Houston relinquishes the right to swap a Houston OKC first-round pick for Brooklyn's 2025 first-round pick. The Nets control their own pick now as they go into a full rebuild because of the stuff that's coming out in 2025. So we're all going to take a test on this later. So just let you know that we're going to quiz you on this. No, I'm kidding. But it's wild, man. But basically, it's Houston is relinquishing some of the stuff they got in the James Harden trade so they could free up more picks so that they could potentially go after who, Joe?
Kevin Durant.
That is correct. The rumors have Kevin Durant being a target of the Houston Rockets, which I don't know.
I think this might be a lifeline for Phoenix, to be honest.
It is a lifeline for Phoenix.
First instinct I had was, ooh, let's bring now Houston's thought process is, well, we kind of have a team that's got some talent here. We're kind of bored losing all year, every year. At some point, these teams get bored losing. They want to start winning. And maybe this particular team will sit better with Durant. And he gets to go back to Texas, I guess. I know he's not from Texas, but it's I think it's a good deal.
He played high school in Texas.
I think it's a good deal if you can make it work.
That's true, but it is giving Phoenix a lifeline, Joe. I think that's a very astute assessment of that. I think it does benefit Phoenix more because Kevin Durant, with all those wing players, those young wing players. Yeah, you're right. He was born in DC, but he did go to Texas for high school. And all those young players, wing players, that won't free up any minutes for them. So that to me is a concern. I don't know if I would go, especially for the kind of assets Phoenix would want, would I don't know. In your opinion, is that a good move for Houston? I understand getting veteran talent, but I mean, Jabari Smith, that just there's only one ball to share, and Kevin Durant needs touches. And however great a player he still can be, that's gonna. I don't. I'm kind of on the fence on that one.
Phoenix isn't going to get a haul like Brooklyn did with Mikal Bridges. I don't believe the deal would be done. They're gonna give Phoenix 6 first-round picks. I don't think they're gonna give up a lot.
Well, Frank also have to give up young talent too. Frank's right, like Green, maybe Cam Whitmore, something like that to match salary.
I don't mind giving up Green and a Cam Whitmore. You're not gonna give up Amin Thompson, because what are you gonna do? Switch all your young players for a Durant? That doesn't make any sense. This deal likely isn't going to happen because I think one side's going to get greedy. And they're both in the right there for what they're trying to do. Phoenix is going to get greedy and try and get back draft picks. Folks, they don't have a draft pick the rest of this decade, right?
I think they do, but they might get, because they're the second apron, Joe. They may get, because of penalties, they may actually get bumped down to the end of the first round. That's a penalty of the second apron as well.
Okay.
So just to let you know.
So they're struggling in terms of assets and with draft capital. So
Sengun was talked about by Kurt Affair.
See, but why would you do that? Do you want to compete, or you just want to get Kevin Durant? That's why I don't think there's going to be a trade here. It's just one team is going to want too much, and I think the other team can't really afford to do it. Especially Houston. You can't give up those young assets in bunches. Why would you do that? Phoenix would have to take what they can get for Houston to make it make sense.
Kevin Durant's $47 million right now.
Sengun is too. He's got too much potential to trade for a Durant.
You would have to do, in order to get that working out, you would have to move Van Vliet.
Yes, that would help money-wise. You use let's say, okay, let's talk shop. What if Houston says we're going to give you we're going to give you 2 unprotected first-round picks. You take Fred Van Vliet, and then maybe an unprotected first. Does Phoenix do that? Because that's not a bad deal for Phoenix. Phoenix now has a ball handling guard that can play with Devin Booker, because I'm not relying on Bradley Beal. In my book right now with Bradley Beal, he's going to miss half the year. He doesn't exist. He should just play like 6-man.
Dylan's about 25, Frank. 22-25. So you need to package on top of that maybe a Steven Adams if he's eligible to be traded, because remember, he was traded to Houston. I don't know if he is eligible to be traded. I think he is. And then a Jalen Green, maybe packaging it that
you got to take what you can get. Together. If you're Phoenix, you have to take what you can get. And you might not get the haul you want, but get what you can get. I don't think they're going to want Fred Van Vliet, though. I guess they could. Asking. I guess they actually. I'm sorry, you know what? No, that's not true. Fred Van Vliet actually has a team option after next year, so that actually might work. They'd be willing to take on that contract because it'll be done next year. It's essentially an expiring contract, and Phoenix doesn't have to sign Fred Van Vliet. They can let him go, and they can really rebuild with the assets they get in this trade.
Corbina, you said Cam Thomas. Is Cam Thomas available? Everyone is available, although Cam Thomas is on a cheap contract right now, Corbina, so maybe they would be reluctant to get him. But for the other Cam Johnson, and he might be available. Nick Claxton, I believe, is a free agent, or if he's not, he would be. I think he is a free agent. if I'm not mistaken. And right now they're in the middle of a rebuild. Right now, Brooklyn just signaled to everybody, Joe, that they're in a rebuild. They got 225 because they didn't have a draft pick, I believe, next year. So they got 2 draft picks next year, and they restructured and reframed their draft picks going forward because they were draft pick shy and they were a losing team. They realized they're just done. So they've traded their best player. They realize they're going to be a lousy team. They're going to be tanking next year. Nick Claxton is a free agent, so he's on the move somewhere else. Cam Johnson, guys like that, whatever's left on the Brooklyn team may be up for grabs, Joe.
It's Brooklyn can turn this around very quickly, though, in the next couple years.
Well, that's what they're hoping.
They can hit some. They can hit some luck in the lottery next year and get the first pick. They're going to have their star, and then they're going to have a lot of assets, draft capital to build around that and compete.
Dennis Schroeder. Good suggestion, Frank. Dennis Schroeder. He could be got possibly for an extra pick if you're interested. Brooklyn also has, the Simmons expiring as well. That's something that could be used as balance sheet. But I think they might hold on to that, Frank. That one I think they would hold on to. Now that Mikal Bridges is gone and they're no longer a win now team, I think they're going to take on bad salaries for at least a year, and whatnot, and try and get draft picks, a whole bunch of picks. And unless somebody really wants to get off that $40 million more, the Brooklyn, that would be my suggestion. I would tell Joe, I would say to Brooklyn right now, keep the Simmons $40 million expiring. I think that if you want to get well fast in a year, you'll get the 2 2025 draft picks, plus you'll have $40 million to go ahead and spend in free agency next season.
I agree. This is playing out really, really well for them. They're going to have a lot of money available next year, and they're going to drop a lot of dead weight. They're going to drop Simmons, who's the biggest dead weight the last few years in the NBA. You're going to drop. I know Dennis still has some game, but he's on his last year's contract, so that's another 13 mil. So 53 mil just between those two guys are going to be able to drop next year. DFS is got a player option after next year.
He could be on the move as well. I know that the Lakers, at least our fan base has really asked for Dorian Finney-Smith in the past, so he could be an option, Joe.
Yeah, he is an option. I just don't know what. Is it just going to be a lateral move to get him? Are you trading Rui for him? And why would Brooklyn do that? If Brooklyn is going to trade DFS, they're going to trade him for something of substance. I don't think the Lakers have enough assets in terms of players or picks. I don't believe Dorian Finney-Smith warrants even one first-round pick. If you can get him for a couple of seconds, sure, but not a first-round pick. I think that would be a terrible idea.
Kaio saying trade AD for Dort, J. Will, and 7 first-rounders.
I'm hearing a lot of trade ideas to Oklahoma City. I'm going to be honest with you. I actually let's look at that one. That's actually an interesting one. Let's look at that one. Let's give that a breather a little bit. If those are 7 unprotected first round picks, how the hell do you not think about it a little bit?
I would do it. I'm sorry. I would do
7? Okay. Bridges just got what? 5?
5.
Yes. Okay.
And only one of them was lightly protected, Joe.
Okay. If you're Oklahoma City and you're like, hey, dude, we want to win a championship. That's it. We got Caruso. Let's go get AD. We'll throw in Dort, sure. But here's 7 unprotected
and
first-round picks.
J. Will.
But here's the problem with that, Gerald. Is it very likely that Oklahoma City wins it all next year if they have that trade? Chet
It is very
Holmgren.
likely.
Okay, so that means that for those first round picks for the next 3-4 years are all going to be late 20s.
But they're not all OKCs. You got to pick. Remember, they've got a ton of everybody else's first round draft picks for the rest of this decade.
KO, you have now given me more work after we get off the show. I got to go look at Oklahoma City's picks. That's a good one. We're going to come back to that when I get back.
We did this on the show, Joe. I think I did this on the show with someone who's no longer with us, but I think I did this on the show where we talked about having, I think, 50 draft picks total between now and the end of the decade. And at the latter years, 26, 27, 28, 29, especially 27, 28, 29, I think they have a ton of draft picks that are not theirs. So just looking up right now, I'm going to say if you are smart, and I'm talking to you, Rob, Mr. Fix Your Hair, Palenka, you would pick up the call.
All right, you ready?
7 draft picks. Yeah,
go ahead, I didn't think I was going to find this quick. So Oklahoma City has Houston's pick this year at 12. They have their own next year. They have Houston. It says Houston or Clippers.
But they have a choice. It's a either or type situation.
Okay. So Houston or Clippers. Oklahoma City has the right to swap 2025 first round pick for Houston. Okay, it's either Houston or Clippers in 2025. So follow me as I say this, guys. 2024, they have the Houston pick at 12, right? No protections, right? That's this year. 2025, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Guys, I didn't stutter when I said that. 7 first round picks in 2025. Okay. One is their own, which is going to be a high pick. The other is Houston or LA Clippers. There's Miami that's protected between 1 and 14. There's Philly that's protected between 1 and 6. There's Utah that's protected from 1 to 10. There's a second round pick in Atlanta for protected from 31 to 40, and then a second round pick, Boston or Memphis, no protection.
Is it 5 first round picks or 7 first round picks? Possibly up to.
I'm sorry, I meant 5 first round picks, but there's 7 draft picks that next year.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 5 first. Potentially, guys, 5 first round draft picks. They would have to meet all the parameters of it, but potentially 5 first round picks in next year's draft. If not, it would roll over to succeeding years.
Mm-hmm. So as we're
I would do it
as we're going through that first big bunch. It's really their largest. I think it's their largest haul is the 2025 7 draft picks. Folks, there's only 60 picks. They have 7 of them in this draft. The issue, though, Gerald, is the Miami, the Philly, the Utah, and Atlanta. Now, I'm looking at that. Actually, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say Atlanta. That's a second round pick. But let's look at their own next year. They're not going to finish probably below 25. They're probably going to be up in the top 5, right?
Yep.
Teams in the NBA? Likely. Okay, so that pick's going to be 25 to 30, let's say. The Houston, LA pick, I don't think Houston's going to have a bad year. I don't think the Clippers are going to have a bad year to the point where they're a lottery team. Would you agree with that?
Who knows at this point, my friend?
Okay,
because
not likely.
The West is so tough.
It's not likely. It's not likely. I don't believe Ballmer is going to allow that team to break up. I believe he's going to pay everybody and make sure that he can open.
But that team, Joe, can age fast.
They will. They will die in the end based off their current roster. But they are going to try to win, which means they're not likely going to go and get a first pick next year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then you have the Miami, Philly, and Utah picks. The problem with those picks is Miami's protected from 1 to 14, which basically means there's no lottery pick there. 1 to 6 from the Philly pick and 1 to 10 from Utah. So even if those teams Miami's not going to stink. Philly's not going to stink. Utah could, but they're protected from 1 to 10. So you're not going to have a chance to, based off the 2025 picks from Oklahoma City, you're not going to really have a chance to get the top guys in that draft.
But if you're asking for 7 first-round picks,
cool.
And thank you, appreciate question marks, you subscribing to the Lakers Fast Break. If you're talking about a bundle of 7 picks, Joe, it would be patterned out over the course of the rest of this decade, but you would make sure you would get some assets in the 2025 draft. I would do it. I would listen to okay.
I would tell you this.
AD, I would listen.
I would definitely listen. I would do this. Okay. After 2025, you have Golden State, you have Dallas or Philly. Oh, actually, those are second round picks. Never mind. Wow, these are all becoming second round picks. Okay. Those picks are not going to be as sexy as you think they are going to be based off what I'm looking at. By the way, this website,
I didn't even
know this website existed. This is the best website I've ever seen. It came up right when I put Oklahoma City. It's called Fanspo.
Yes, Fanspo. Yes, they actually do a lot relating to the draft. I'm just going to say this, Joe. If you're smart and you get the call for AD for 7 first-round draft picks, you would want to space that out between 25, 27, 20. Because they have a lot of other teams' draft picks in those years, especially later in the decade.
Oklahoma City's first-round picks are too heavily protected from other teams. So I'm not going to trade AD for first-round picks that are protected from 1 to 14. That's basically I'm not saying that players.
No, that's lottery protected, but they have enough picks, Joe, in their assortment that are lighter protected. Later in the decade, I think it's something that you would definitely want to consider.
If Mikal Bridges is getting 5, if Mikal's getting 5 unprotected firsts,
I would ask for 7.
You got to get 7, and I want. And I mentioned something that I want to feel like whatever some of those picks are unprotected from teams that'll be bad at that time.
And I'm not sure yet if they need to do dollar for dollar, and if they don't, and because Oklahoma City could still be under the cap because they have room under the cap, they could take on Davis's salary. If we get back Dort, Jalen Williams, and Kason Wallace, I would probably say if you could save $20 million on that, because you're not going to it's going to be very hard for them to match dollar for dollar based on talent off of AD's salary, because they just don't have it unless they trade SGA. But before all these extensions kick in. But if you could get that kind of talent and be able to save that difference of $20 million back for you on the top of that, plus get the 7 picks, that would be awesome. I would do it, Joe. I would do it in a heartbeat. That's a lot of young talent and continually replenishing the talent for years to come. That's it. Kaio, you get a clap from me today. That was well done.
Yeah,
that's
you completely derailed the show in a positive way.
In a very positive way. Absolutely. We got up to 85 people on the chat right there. So yeah, absolutely. Just truly tremendous having you here watching. It is the Lakers Fast Break. If you like what we do, please go ahead and give us a shout out, a like, a subscribe. Big shout out to Brother right there. Going to go ahead and give him a big shout out to going into the South Bronx. Absolutely. Big shout out to you out there. Please go ahead and support his channel and support what he's doing. But thank you. Appreciate your thoughts for us and telling us to keep up the good work on the channel. So thank you again. Truly appreciate it. But like and subscribe to get the latest notifications. We'll be live tomorrow during the draft, starting at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here, wherever you get your podcasts. Absolutely. Dan Inspiration says, who do you guys want for the Lakers to draft at 17? I was hoping that if you get a chance, after you watch this show, you watch what we did earlier today. I had some great guys on for a mock draft. Laker Tom actually found a trade that I liked, Joe, as the Chicago GM. I know it was ridiculous because it involved Lonzo Ball heading to Los Angeles. And I said, I could pass it up. I said, okay, Laker Tom, you want Lonzo Ball? All right, you can have him. But a flurry coming along, most of it coming out of Brooklyn. But do you see any way the Lakers could trade up before we talk about what's available at number 17? Because you've talked about this at length for the past few weeks. You said, watch out for the Lakers trading up at number 17.
I never said trading up. I said they trade the pick.
Well, yeah, you said they're trade. Okay, that's what I thought you meant. Trade the pick. You said
I don't think they're good enough to trade up. I don't think they know what they're. I don't think they're capable of figuring that out and making it work. But the closer we're getting here, I don't know if they're going to be able to trade the 17 either. So I think they're going to. My pick is going to be Ware at 17. It sounds like Edey might be picked before then. I don't know if this is a ploy.
He was given a green room invite, so you could take that for what it's worth, but the NBA is anticipating him being picked somewhere in the lottery if that's the case. He refused the invite, but he did because he got the invite. It means that the feelers out there from general managers saying that he might be picking the first 15 picks, Joe. So
yeah, Dan, that's a good comp. I've read that comp for Ware. My God, if he turned into Tyson Chandler with a 3-point shot, he'd be an all-star. If he's there at 17, I wouldn't be sad if they picked him. I think that would be someone, but I just don't see him making an immediate impact. So we're going to have to be patient with him a little bit. And I'm hoping that JJ Redick can develop him. That's one of the big things with the coaches that's going to be important is can JJ coach players and make them better. We don't talk enough about coaches and making players play better. I don't think we talk enough about that. Are they helping those players? When we were talking about Steve Kerr, when he was in Orlando and Phoenix and Cleveland, you didn't know who the hell he was. Did he become an asset for the Bulls because he came and played with Michael Jordan? Or was it Phil's coaching? Was it Phil's system? It's probably all of the above. And that is what we want. Whomever comes to LA with this particular leadership now, we want that. We want Austin to play better. We want him to be in better position because of the coach and the coaches. We want Rui making better decisions. We want LeBron taking on more accountability. We want all these things, and that's going to come from a leader, like a leader coach, a coach that could be a leader. And the players will respond to that leader if they're winning. Usually winning is the cure, right? So yes. maybe JJ can get into somebody's face, even the stars, and say, get your butt back here, get your whatever back there, and stop doing this. And are the players going to complain? Sure. They're all divas, especially the bigger they are. But if they're winning, if they're seeing footage of why they are getting yelled at and why it matters because the team is being put in the right position, then that's when you start seeing the chemistry build and players understanding, look, I gotta play better. Otherwise it's going to be a problem because we're not going to win because we're winning. It's a lot of stuff. So my pick is Ware. I think he'll be there at 17. And it's a player they need, and it's a player that they can develop. That's where I'm looking at right now. Filipowski is another guy, but if it's between those two, I'd rather go with Ware. And Edey, if the reports are correct, it looks like Edey might get picked in the after 10, like that 10-15 range. Mm-hmm. And there's a debate. About your thoughts? Yeah, there's a debate on whether that's a smart move. I don't think it's a smart move unless he goes to a team that he doesn't have to worry about pressure of winning and are okay playing somewhat traditional basketball to get himself acclimated to the NBA. What are your thoughts on Durant Holmes II, big power forward?
He's been talked about anywhere from 15 to 25 in the range of the Lakers.
I've
Big
seen
power
some
forward out of
mocks with
Dayton.
him in. I've seen some mocks with him there. Traditional big power forward.
Good size, 6'10", 230.
I don't know. I don't know enough to assess that one.
Decent 3-point shooter. Again, everybody has to take in perception when they're talking about a good 3-point shooter. I know that Pale Fox is really begging for Reed Shepherd, who's expected to be a top 5 pick, that the Lakers would be able to trade up to get him. We have to go ahead and also consider the fact that it's from the college 3-point line. Sometimes it doesn't translate. Sometimes it doesn't always translate to being a good 3-point shooter in the NBA because of the distance involved. But we'll see. About 38% that Durant Holmes was. Of course, Reed Shepherd was over 50% in college. So that should translate to him being a good shooter. And that's the case. Would you try to trade up for Reed Shepherd, Joe? Because again, he looks like he is probably one of the best, if not the best shooter in the draft coming up.
Do we need shooters?
We always need shooters.
I think we need defenders more than we need shooters right now.
Okay.
The Lakers need defense. The Lakers need players that can spell their stars. I think those are the two most important things that they need. If they can pick, the problem with trading up is that means they're likely going to have to give up draft capital. If it's a second-round pick, sure, but who's going to let a team go up 5 spots for a second-round pick? I don't see anybody doing that. I don't see any reason for that. Is it going to be for a particular player on your roster, like a Rui Hachimura or Austin Reeves? Man, if you trade a player that's already doing well and part of your chemistry and part of your identity at the moment, whoever they're trading up for better be a game changer. I don't know if there's a game changer in this draft. It's just not likely that the Lakers are going to trade up. You can't give up that kind of draft asset or a player asset. It's just not gonna make any sense. I don't see a team dropping down. I just don't see it.
Okay, because that's a pretty big leap to go from 17 to 3. I just don't think that the Lakers, even with Austin Reeves, if they dangled Austin Reeves to Houston, if that's going to get it done in regards to that. If that's the case, Houston would have just offered him the money that he was looking to get in free agency last year and not had to worry about it. So, yeah, I think there is no player that the Lakers can dangle, Rui or Austin, that would garner that kind of jump from 17 to 3. So that's the problem. So, but with that, again, it's the NBA draft. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Massive trades today. So we've seen the price point. I thought they were going to start going down, Joe. I really thought they were going to start going down as far as the price point for numbers of picks for star players, but that doesn't look to be the case. So now that we've reset the market again after the Mikal Bridges trade, your thoughts, my friend, on where we go from here? Could we see more big trades in the offering in the next 24 to 48 hours?
You could, yes. However, if this sets the market, the Lakers have no chance of getting a third guy here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not looking good. It was already difficult, but it's even more difficult now if this is what the market is. I don't mind Mikal Bridges, and maybe he might help the Knicks get to the finals, but there wasn't a chance in hell I would have traded that many assets for him. Not for him.
Kyle's asking if D'Lo opts in. If D'Lo opts in, there may be already a sign and trade in the works, Kyle. So that's a good suggestion. He would be talking if Orlando came to D'Lo. They said they had a deal in place, but it would get sweeter if we could work out a sign and trade. I don't think they could get Jonathan Isaac because, as Alfred Esmond on our mock draft said, he is one guy he would like to keep despite the injuries that he's had over the course of his career. He did provide really good defense, anchors at defense for Orlando. Your thoughts on if you could get Jonathan Isaac out of a D'Lo sign and trade?
Why would Orlando do that?
Exactly. That's what I'm.
If I had closed my eyes and just kind of just listened to some sound while you were talking, I would have thought you were Laker Tom.
Well, that's just throwing it out there from our audience because Kyle was asking. But
there's no chance, guys. There's no chance of that happening unless the market says no one wants to sign D'Angelo for more than a couple of years. That's what would dictate a trade like that for him to opt in. But how do you test it? I don't know how you find out that information until free agency starts.
So let me ask you this. Cam Johnson is a name that's probably going to be mentioned here quite heavily, or Bogdanovich over the next 24, 48 hours as far as who Brooklyn might want to move. Dorian Finney-Smith as well. Is there any of those names that intrigue you and interest you as far as what you would offer any package of deals for, Joe?
The Lakers can definitely use a Cam Johnson for sure.
If you get the Cam Johnson that played with Phoenix, not the one that played.
Correct. Although when he was in Brooklyn, he had a game where he wouldn't miss. Also,
that was few and far between. If you saw his stats,
it was one of those losses in December. I remember that was why the Lakers finished 7th instead of 4th, because of numbnuts talking about how we live and die by each game, and that was his excuse. Looking at Orlando's, Orlando has a lot of cap space, folks. I think they're what do they got? They're down to like 85 mil. It's
not Philadelphia big, but it's close. Yeah. It's in the range, Joe.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand the appeal of Orlando for D'Angelo either. I don't know if that's just because Orlando has space, and I have to see how
they need a point guard that can shoot, or they need guards that can shoot primarily, more likely from the shooting guard area. But they both guard positions. They need improvement on their shooting.
It's imperative that the Lakers retain D'Angelo Russell unless they can trade him for someone that they need. I don't see D'Angelo Russell being a big part of a trade, though, that would warrant other teams to go out of their way to help the Lakers. D'Angelo's not that kind of player that a team would trade for him and give the Lakers what they need for him. The Lakers need a starting point guard who can shoot. Who's out there that is a starting point guard that can shoot? That's a free agent that you can sign or can get in a trade. I'll tell you who it is. His name is Trae Young. But Mikal Bridges just got 5 first-round unprotected picks. You don't think Atlanta's going to want 7 for Trae Young? Lakers don't have
that. Dan Inspiration says, how about 2 first D'Lo and Rui for Jeremy Grant and a first swap?
I'm not big on anything to do with Jeremy Grant.
That's a bad contract.
That's a Phoenix getting Bradley Beal deal. It completely debilitates your team. Jeremy Grant is, in my book, the most overpaid player of the last 3 years.
It's a bad contract. The Bradley Beal contract is bad. I think it's worse only because
and he's a bad contract, and they upped it again in Portland. I don't understand. I don't really understand what
I think the Beal contract is only worse because it has a no trade clause. That's the only reason why. But it's a
Bradley
bad
Beal was the face of a franchise, so it makes sense to some degree. Granted, Phoenix traded for him because they're trying to win, right? But Bradley Beal warranted a max contract because he had the skill set to do it. Jeremy Grant's never been that guy.
Colin Sexton's name has been mentioned quite frequently over the course of the past 48 hours. Your thoughts on Colin Sexton
Uh,
to the Lakers?
if you can get him for nothing, yeah.
Because he doesn't really, especially after that knee injury, he has come back. He's played pretty good for Utah, but I don't know if he moves the needle enough. Is he a starting guard still in the league, or is he a backup, a six-man type deal?
Backup 6-man, I wouldn't mind, but I'm not giving up any capital for him.
JSJ says Jeremy Grant will be Vando's replacement. That's a very expensive replacement, JSJ. A very expensive replacement. Dan's Branson says I'd take Chris Dunn and Kessler for a first round D'Lo and Rui. At least you got ideas, Dan Inspiration. I give you credit on that.
I wouldn't be mad at that, but you still need a point guard.
I wouldn't be mad at either.
If you don't get a point guard, that means LeBron's going to have more. A lot of the reasons why LeBron stayed healthy last year was because D'Angelo was the starting point guard. He played well and shot well the whole year. That helped. If you don't have a starting point guard, if you don't have a starting point guard who can shoot folks, that means LeBron's going to have more ball handling duties throughout the year, and he will get hurt.
Dan Inspiration, he is a free agent. Kurt Affair is right. So it would not be something we could take anyways, unless it was a sign and trade.
And just remember, folks, Jeremy Grant's contract is for 4 more years. His last season in 2028 is a player option. So that means if he stinks, he's picking up that option. So you have him for at least 4 years.
Yeah, no on Jeremy Grant. People think that the Lakers are going to get stuck with Jeremy Grant's contract. If that's the case,
okay, hold on. I'll give it a little window.
That's more than window than I would.
But a lot of things have to happen first. No first-round picks. And if you want to trade Gabe Vincent, Vando, and a rookie like JHS to fill in the gaps,
you would have to put in Rui as well.
Rui, if it's Rui and Vanderbilt,
and Gabe would make up.
Then you'd be getting something else in return if you're getting all 3 of those guys out.
Simons,
but Portland wouldn't do that. I don't think Portland would do that. For what?
They're getting ready to be guard heavy.
I wouldn't understand. Okay, let's look at the contracts on all those. Okay, if they're trying to lessen the contract, then you might not have to send any draft capital out.
Okay.
And I don't think they're going to include Simons.
I'm looking at it on the trade machine now.
Maybe Brogdon, since he's an expiring contract.
Yeah, that's a good pin. Yeah, I would take that. Okay, so you're saying that Brogdon and Grant, which would be about 49 million, 50 million combined. Mm-hmm. So let me see if that does it. So Jeremy Grant, that. You go ahead and I'll add that. So that's about 50 million right on the dot. So for Rui, Gabe Vincent, that's going to be about 26. The Lakers would still have to find 25 more million, and Jared's only 11 million. So they would still have to find 14 more million, which would be Austin Reeves. So I don't think that trade could work.
Well,
I don't think logistically.
Rui, Gabe, and Vanderbilt, you're at 28 mil, 38 mil. Hold on.
And Brogdon and Grant is 50 mil.
22, so that's 30.
Yeah, it's a lot of. It doesn't add up.
Yeah, it'd have to be just a Jeremy Grant deal.
Which is a shame because, Brogdon thrown in there, especially on an expiring, that would be
you would trade Rui, Gabe Vincent, and a filler because both those guys make together they make 28 mil. Jeremy's making 30, a little under 30 right now, so they can figure out a way to. It's within that 3 million range, isn't it? At that point,
yeah.
So they can make that work. And the benefit for Portland is they get 2 years less in Jeremy's contract. That actually might work if the Lakers are going all in. Does Jeremy Grant help the Lakers?
That's what I don't think he does.
You don't think so?
I don't think he does. I think it's an incredibly expensive contract because he's an incredibly overrated player.
What if you get Valanciunas at center and you get a good rotational player in the draft? You have Jeremy Grant and you keep D'Angelo Russell. Because what's Gabe Vincent and Rui giving you? That you're telling me Rui's better than Jeremy Grant?
I'm telling you, if it's on the same team with the same amount of minutes, I think that Rui and the gap's not far. I don't think the gap's far at all.
I think there's
Rui
a
and
gap.
Jeremy
I think Jeremy Grant is a better
I
player
don't
than
think.
Rui.
I think Grant has seen better days, and I think that contract has seen better days.
So he's stuffed now. He's eating well. Is that what you're saying?
I think he's eating very well in Portland.
And his mentality is, I'm not going to do much anymore. Is that what it is?
Well, it could be, my friend. He's eating pretty well right now. So that's all I'll say. Okay, let's total this out for the next 27, 29, 32, 34, and 36.
Jeremy Grant averages 21 points a game, but is he healthy enough? I think that might be the problem more than anything.
Yeah. Do you really want to pay him $36 million as a 33-year-old player?
I don't want to pay 90% of the people what they're getting paid, but this is what the NBA is. The issue with Jeremy Grant actually is that he doesn't really play. He hasn't played a really full season and probably he doesn't really play a lot the last 4 years. He's played 54 games, 47, 63, and 54. He'd have to play 70 games and up for him to help this team.
Get your value out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. We're just saying here. But they're throwing out there. BTS says get Walker Kessler. I mean, Walker Kessler, after one down season, it's only played 2 years in the league, BTS. I mean, if the Lakers could get him, absolutely, but I don't think Ainge is going to get off Kessler that soon or abandon Kessler that soon unless he gets a center that has a lot better prospects. I think Kessler could still be good in this league.
I'm hearing Lakers fan 24 say something that I've heard a few times today. Do you believe that the Lakers could have beat anybody last year except the Nuggets?
No, I don't think they could have beaten Minnesota. I think they would have probably lost to Dallas. I think they probably would have lost to any of the teams above them, maybe outside of Phoenix. I think they would have beaten Phoenix.
What about Boston?
Oh, they would have gotten killed by Boston.
Yeah.
They're not even close right now. The Lakers are not even close. Anybody who thinks that they're close is thinking with very purple and gold shaded glasses on, and they're not thinking realistically. The Lakers are farther and farther away, and each day LeBron gets older and gets more expensive. If you time him into a 3-year, as Eric told me, and Eric give props on him for that, if they do sign him for a full 3-year 164 deal, it doesn't get much better. You cannot tell me that. You cannot convince me of that. I got burned. I predicted the Lakers would go far. In fact, I predicted them to win last year, and they didn't even come close. I'm not getting burned by that again.
Well, it's different when you're.
Oh yeah, AD with Wemby. that would be illegal.
Yeah, if you had AD and Wemby on that front line, I don't think you would. I think they would. I don't think a team would score more than 95 points against that team.
I provide my own common sense, Darren, and it's my channel as well as being a Lakers channel. So I'm like Laker Tom. I don't give those very unique traits. Now, I will give Laker Tom credit. He did do the Kelly Olynyk for Jared Vanderbilt trade was both beneficial for the Lakers and maybe something that you could pull off. But the Lonzo Ball trade, I thought that was something when he offered me that and I was Chicago GM, I was just like, you really want to take Lonzo Ball off my hands?
What
Okay.
was his reasoning to
And
get Ball? Does he think
he thinks
his
because he thinks
meniscus is
he's
going
going
to
to
go
get
back to normal?
yeah, he thinks he's going to get cleared. So, yeah. So
What
that's
what
okay.
gives him that idea?
I don't know. I think that they're filing. I think the Chicago is filing for an insurance claim for that because he was supposedly going to be out for the rest of the year. And if that's the case, if they file an insurance claim, he has to be out
The ball
for the entire year.
players are the NBA version of the Kardashians. They got their money. They're a sideshow clown operation.
And
That's
if I
it.
was he offered me that and Rui, I think JHS is filler. That was nothing but that and the 17th pick for the 11th pick and Lonzo Ball.
I don't want to have anything to do with the Ball family or ball players.
Laker Tom was ready. So he did have some good trades. I will give him some credit.
You have to be rated to be overrated, BTS. He's just ass.
Utah, again, is being brought up by Coyote this time. Kessler looking at trying to get John Collins over here. What's your opinion on John Collins? If we could get rid of Gabe and Rui in return.
Sure, but you're going to have to throw the first pick somewhere there.
Yeah, there have to be a number 1 attached to it for Danny Ainge to take. That's the thing.
Danny Ainge is watching Oklahoma City right now. Oklahoma City talking shop about getting someone next to Chet Holmgren is what Danny's probably waiting on because he's salivating right now in terms of draft picks.
And let me go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
And what happened with Boston this year only adds to that because they're still giving Danny credit for what he did when he was there.
I just want to go ahead and update people who are just coming in. It is the Lakers Fast Break. We're updating you with some NBA observations. There are 2 big trades this evening. One was Mikal Bridges heading to New York. That's right. He's headed from one side of town to the other. So he's heading to New York. And in exchange, where's that deal? There's so many tweets I've got right there. In exchange, Evan Fournier, Quentin Grimes, 2024 first-round pick from Dallas, top 10 protected, 2025 first-round pick from Milwaukee, top 4 protected, 2025 first-round pick from New York, unprotected, 2027 first-round pick from New York, unprotected, and 2029 first-round pick from New York, top 5 protected, all going to Brooklyn. They also made another trade, and I'm going to go ahead and mention that now to everyone. It's regarding a lot of swap rights and things of that nature, stuff that they've traded before in the James Harden trade, some of it coming back. The Brooklyn Nets have acquired their 2025 first-round draft pick, negating a previously agreed-to swap in the James Harden deal, and their first-round pick in 2026 from the Houston Rockets in exchange for a 2025 first-round pick swap with Houston, Oklahoma City for Phoenix. The Phoenix Suns 2027 first round pick. That's the pick that I would watch. And the rights to 2 of the most favorable of the Dallas, Phoenix, and Houston first round picks in 2029. Brooklyn retains the least favorable of Dallas, Houston, and Phoenix's first round draft picks in 2029. Again, for Houston, this is about acquiring more assets in a trade that they would like to make for a big name because they're really feeling that they can go ahead and get into win now mode. And for Brooklyn, it's reacquiring a lot of their assets that they gave up and also getting prepared for a major sellout because they are looking towards the future and 2025. So very interesting day so far. Again, great suggestions from Kaio. Dan Inspiration, everybody out there, truly appreciate you joining us. It is the Lakers Fast Break once again. Got a big crowd tonight, Joe. Obviously, this time of the year, people are very interested in what the NBA is doing right now.
This is the part of the year where they own sports, is free agency especially. But they've been really bad the last couple seasons. And a lot of it has to do with their own undoing. It's hilarious how the NFL, you wonder why the NFL is the best. It's not just because it's not about, oh, it's football and it's violent. No, actually, football's turned a lot of people off in terms of their wussification of the sport. And a lot of it is justified because the same people who are whining about the game turning into flag football are also the same dumbasses who will say, "Hey, you can't do that. That's a hard hit. You can't do that. Oh, he's going to get CTE." Like, well, which one is it? Well, which one do you want? Old timers talk about that too. I'll hear old timers that play in the NFL talk about, "Oh, the game is whatever." I'm like, what the hell are you complaining about? It's your constituents who sued the NFL because of this. So now you're complaining? So again, remember we talked about on the last show, people talking out of both holes. Don't talk out of both holes, folks. Talk out of one. Then at least, whether it's bad or good, you have some credibility. It doesn't matter. So the NBA owned July. Free agency, trade deadline, they owned it. The NFL owned nothing during trade deadlines and free agency. And what did they do? They took a nice dump on it with the new rules or the enhancement of the rules. Oh, no, we don't want players to leave. Guys, that's what made the NBA great. LeBron leaving, Durant leaving, Kyrie leaving. That was exciting. Why would you go away from that? Baseball and the NBA do stuff like that. It drives me nuts. Like, work what you know your sport is popular with. But
you know what's so funny, Joe? Because SB was asking for an update on your favorite team, the Dodgers, and I'm posting it now in the chat. They're just cruising right now, 3 games out of the second place in National League right now behind the Phillies. They're just cruising at 50-31. Do you realize, Joe, we're already half over in baseball? Half the season is already over.
The Dodgers, honestly, you can say I watched the Braves in the 90s and the early 2000s. They were the best regular season team I had seen up until that point. I wasn't around during the 50s, 60s, 40s, obviously, when there was the St. Louis Cardinals and the Yankees and all that. And at this point, the Dodgers are slowly becoming the greatest regular season team in a generational period. And they're doing the same thing they've been doing for the last decade plus. The only problem with that is this is not about regular seasons. This is about winning championships. And Ohtani has put pressure on this team out the gate that he is wanting to win. So the Dodgers, once fully healthy, got like Betts healing from a broken hand, which he will. Once Max Muncy gets back, once everybody gets back, and the Dodgers can get another frontline pitcher and likely another shortstop, they're going to be equipped to go on a run here because Atlanta's not going to likely be a problem now that they've had some injury issues. Philly's going to be a tough one, but I'm not worried about them if the Dodgers face them. I think they match up well with them. And then the Yankees are making a run. I think I'd love to see a Yankee-Dodger World Series. Once for those cheating a-holes in Houston, we probably would have saw a couple of those. So I'm hoping for a Dodger-Yankee World Series. That's my hope. And, of course, a Dodger win.
Same thing for Laker Tom. He's hoping the same thing as a Yankees fan. So we'll see what happens there. But it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. The NBA draft is tomorrow. Still here with you. Glad to go ahead and answer any questions that you guys have on the draft or NBA trades that you guys proposed out there. Again, the Lakers, I don't think would probably get Zach Edey. I think that's, again, I can't believe we're saying this because this guy, again, that was told to go back to college because of the fact he just wasn't good enough at the time for last year's draft. And at the beginning of the college season was still in the late second round in most mock drafts. And all of a sudden now he's being talked about as a lottery pick. I just can't believe when I say that, but it is the truth. And he's been invited to the green room, although I believe he declined the invitation. So that must mean that some GM in the lottery might break down and pick Zach Edey. I know Sacramento's been talked about a lot. So, yeah. Eric says, which top prospect falls out of the lottery? And that is a good question. My candidate was someone that if you were part of the NBA mock draft, and I think, Eric, you were a great part of it in the chat, I would say Topic is the one that I'm eyeing because of the knee trouble. You don't know when he'll be able to be ready. I know he has good vision. If he's shot, you don't know how well he'll be on the defensive end. BTS says Ron Holland is falling. I don't think he's going to fall that far. And if he does, the Lakers should get him because I think he's a 20-point scorer in the league. He is the player that I saw that I think, especially in the G League here, that he has certain qualities I think might translate well into the league. But Joe, if there's any one player you think is falling at the top of the draft, who might that be?
I think I'm with you. I think Topic would be the guy. But do you again? Torn ACLs are I think it was partial though.
Partial torn, yeah. They said the knee is sound.
Yeah,
it's fantastic for the future. They made it. They tried to put all nice flowery statements with it. It's like
I would
okay,
say in most of the mocks he's right at that 10-14 area, mainly 14 and 13.
I still think people should watch for Terrence Shannon Jr. I think his court case being thrown out and him being vindicated and being found innocent of all charges will put a new light on him, and I see him going a little bit higher in the draft than what he was predicted to go.
I think another player could be Devin Carter. I don't know why.
Seems he just looks like a solid player to me.
He is solid, but there's something else there. I don't know why he would drop.
The thing is, though, I don't think the Lakers.
I've seen him as far down as 16, 15. I haven't seen him at 17, but I've seen him at, I think, at 15.
You and I talk about all the time.
I can't figure out why, because he's athletic.
Mm-hmm.
He's not, any Big East player of the year is like being the player of the year in the SEC in football. Big East that's big time basketball in college basketball. And
I think still your mindset in picking the best player available at number 17 for the Lakers is imperative. But do you think if the best player available is a point guard, do you still think they'll go ahead and pull the trigger on it, even though they have JHS?
You have to. No, JHS is not going to do anything for the Lakers.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would just admit to the world that JHS pick was.
When we're looking at the talent that will be available at 17, that would be considered best player available. That's what it is, and it's really, it always seems to be an area that's hovering around the Wares and Filipowskis and even the Edys to some degree now, or probably not anymore now that he's probably going to get picked higher. I don't think you want to risk any guard that's coming out, whether it's Carrington, whether it's Holland, whether it's Carter, any of those guys, looking at who's picking, I don't see how any of those teams that are picking in those lottery areas like Utah, Chicago, how do you not pick those guys in a weak draft? You take a chance a little bit, you risk a little bit by getting those guys and seeing which one pans out, because this is a guard league. This is a shooting guard league, a point guard shooting league, a hybrid shooting guard point. It's the lesser Steph Curry guys, because no one's going to be Steph Curry, right? You need that hybrid guard who can shoot, who can control the ball and somewhat dictate an offense, where you really don't have that a lot anyways in this day and age. It's move the ball, shoot the ball from three. That's usually how the offenses work.
Well, we're going to still stay on for a few minutes longer, but I did want to make mention that we will be here tomorrow for the NBA draft. Go ahead and check it out, our coverage. If I'm able to go ahead and get it on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break, I will. I'm looking at it now and they have nothing listed. I will email them, see if they're going to go ahead and do that. I will. If not, we'll go ahead and follow along with the draft, of course, right here on YouTube, regardless, and Facebook and Twitch if needed as well. So I just want to make sure, let you know, because I'm looking on playback right now and it's not allowing me to accept anything in regards to the NBA draft right now. Nothing is coming up. So I'm going to see if I can go ahead and message them to see if that's available to people like us on playback. But if not, I will be right here. Joe hopefully will be intermittently here as well. I don't know. Are you headed up tomorrow for traveling?
Yes, I'll be leaving in the morning.
Okay. So
I'll be traveling right around that time too. I'll be in the thick of it actually, but I will be paying attention and I'll try to do my best to at least throw some messages.
Well, John Costa did tell me he will be here. Hopefully we can have Alfred Esmond, Legend 350. Hope, trying to get as many people I can for our coverage of the NBA draft. I definitely would like to have you a part of it as well. But why is this thing 2 days now occurred? Again, that I agree with you. The second draft, the second round of the draft, Joe, was something throwaway. They were always doing interviews over it, and it was hard to keep up if you're a viewer watching at home because they would just like flash.
They got tired. They got tired of Jay Billis after every draft pick calling every player in the second round raw talent, will work his way, blah blah blah. It was just a repeat.
So I think that
actually we all know why, folks. We all know why.
It's the NFL. It's for ratings in the NFL and all that. It's an Thursday afternoon, Thursday early evening type deal for people on the East Coast, afternoon on the West Coast. It's just for more ratings. And then Brawny Invitational. That's what I'm calling it. Eric Kwan says, Gerald, does the Knicks adding Bridges things for the first round picks if they are available? Not making that out. Does the Knicks adding Bridges things for the first round picks if they are available? All I know is this: it's a good pickup for them. They have the assets in order to do it. They should keep and do everything they can keep Hartenstein.
Yeah, they're going to be better, Eric. They'll be better.
Yeah, I think they'll be better.
They'll be better.
Yeah, does it changes things?
I just don't know if I would have given up that much capital.
Would you still try to keep Anunoby and Hartenstein? Hartenstein, I think, is a must. Anunoby is a must. I don't. They might try to trade Robinson. I know Lakers in 5 today tried to start rumors today of them trading Robinson to the Lakers. He is very often injured, but I was intrigued by him when he was a second round draft choice. I did have him when I was doing mock drafts, actually. As a first rounder at that point in time. I do think he is a really good guy in the middle if he's playing alongside AD. But I
believe that the Knicks are going to try very hard to trade Julius Randle.
I agree with you. I think Mitchell Robinson, because he gets injured a lot, is also someone that they may move as well. Because Hartenstein played so well, he may be their starting center now. Luke Ridnour is garbage according to BTS. Jay Billis got canceled for the truth. Okay. Well, he did speak the truth on Svi Mihalik. He does have short arms, but look, Svi Mihalik now has a ring. So JSJ said, who will be the surprise signing
for the Lakers?
For anybody
signing in free agency?
Mm-hmm.
What would be a surprise?
Oh yeah, Kurt, I used that earlier today. I remember that. That was not Jay Billis.
Are you talking about something realistic or fantasy?
That was Fran Fraschilla. Kurt Affair. That was Fran's line. I remember that distinctly. I was watching it live. Fran Fraschilla said that about Bruno Caboclo. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
Surprise signing.
Lakers getting Luke Kennard.
Surprise signing. I'm going to just throw this out there. James Harden takes the MLE and goes back to Oklahoma City to be the sixth man for that team.
Irony. The irony in that statement.
And if that happens, he would help. If he understands that role. If I'm Presti, I tell him that, hey, dude, I'll sign you for 4 more years. I'll have a team option at the 4. Come back home. Come back to Oklahoma City. Win 6th man of the year next year. Help us win a championship. Right my wrong. and you'll get a chance to redeem yourself all the way through.
OG to the Sixers. Eric has OG to the Magic. What about the Sixers? The Sixers have a lot of cash.
No. The Sixers need to go get Paul George. They need to convince him to come because he would help.
OG wouldn't help?
Not as much as Paul George. And OG should stay in New York.
Sixers signed DeRozan. I wouldn't say that's out of the realm of possibility. Remember, they've got a lot of cap space.
I'd sign him for the MLE.
Yeah.
If they got Paul George and signed DeRozan for the MLE, woo, that's a good summer.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting. Please stay with us over the course of the next couple of weeks because we're going to be talking a lot of good things in regards to the NBA draft. Ader Majok, yes, I do remember him from UConn. That was a big man, about almost what we saw, 7-footer, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah. But speaking of which, Joe, in regards to big guys, yeah, I remember that Fran Fraschilla making that mention on Bruno Caboclo, Kurt. I was there live watching it. I thought I just cracked up. I just absolutely cracked up because he called it and he was right. But, credit Caboclo because he stayed in the league for quite a spell, much longer than even what Fran Fraschilla anticipated. So that was good to hear. But before we head on out, Joe, I want to go ahead. 6'7" for the I knew he was. I remembered him being a 7-footer, but yeah, it didn't quite work out there as far as at the NBA level. But before we head on out, Joe, again, Lakers as of now 17th pick, but I think they need to do something more. With all these teams now jockeying for position, starting to make trades, starting to hear some movements, I'm hoping that tomorrow will be a very active day for the NBA and also for the Lakers.
Could be a bad couple days. Could be a bad Thursday.
We could lose Joe forever, everyone.
Yeah, I wouldn't say lose me forever, but I'm not watching. So therefore, I'm not going to have a lot of say in what's going on. I'm not watching a reality TV show. I don't care about LeBron. I don't care about LeBron and his family. I don't care about LeBron and his family. And when I say I don't care about them, I don't care about what they do. And when you're bringing that to my team, and you are a team that is already needing talent, and you're pulling this BS, that means you know that you're not going to win. That's why I'm having a hard time believing that's going to there's a little bit of me that's going, could this really happen? It doesn't make any sense. I have to see it happen for me to maybe really have it sink in. And if it did happen, then I'm going, what? You go through all this. You hire JJ Redick. You have this press conference where he's telling everybody F this, F that. Also that you can go draft someone who doesn't know how to play, that's not going to be able to play in this league, so that you guys can have Mary Poppins night.
Phoenix did just work him out again for a second workout, just to let you know, today.
Good for them. I don't give a damn about any of that.
No, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they get him.
Lakers have to get best player available in every.
Meaning Phoenix, Bronny James.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. Good. I hope he has a good career in Phoenix. Don't come to LA. Don't draft him. He won't play.
Tian, we have not heard any updates on the Lakers coaching staff being added as of yet, but when we do, we will discuss that. Even though Joe does not really care about assistant coaches, I will discuss it on this channel once I hear word of what that will be. I'm hoping that Rajon Rondo will be a part of that somewhere, that they'll also get an experienced coach. Scotty Brooks' name has been bandied about. I know that, people were talking about Atkinson before he got hired as the head coach of Cleveland, Borrego, but I think Borrego's has his sets higher, I believe, for a head coaching job as well. So we'll see what happens, but Scotty Brooks would be a good choice as a lead assistant. And he would have been a good head coaching candidate personally as well. If you're talking about someone with no head coaching experience, I would have chosen Rondo over Redick, but that's just me. So I think you said something similar to that as well. If you had both guys, no coaching experience, which one would you choose? I think I'd slightly lean Rondo. So
Rondo's too much of a wild card to depend on.
Okay.
That's a leadership position, and Rondo's too much of a rogue. It doesn't work in today's sports culture.
JSJ, they would be only able to get SVG or Scott Brooks. I don't think they would get both. But Eli, Rondo would be fighting for his players. Rondo would be fighting his players. Yeah, maybe that's what they need. But Eli, you worked out Bronny James for a second time today for the Phoenix Suns. Maybe trading away Kevin Durant to Houston for a bevy of picks. So we'll see. Pale Fox says, get out of here with Scotty. Oh, yeah, Scotty Barnes. We didn't even talk about that. Scotty Barnes signed a max deal today, a rookie max extension for. I remember my good friend, Mr. Rafael Barlow. He said on the air, he said he was you're drafting a number 5 pick for a glue guy. And in many ways, he has become a glue guy, but he's also been a very good player for Toronto. But I don't know if Toronto today sent the message that they are building around Scotty Barnes. I'm not sure if that should be the case. I'll say that. I'm still kind of on the fence on just where I think Scotty Barnes' trajectory will be.
Yeah.
I know JSJ, but I was talking about Barnes.
I don't even think Scotty Barnes is worth 170, let alone 270. That is about as overpaid a number as I could remember. Just to me, that's a terrible contract for someone who I think is good, but nothing near that number.
Yeah, I think he's a really good glue guy. But does not shoot or score well enough to be, I think, a top player as of now. Now he may develop into that. We'll wait and see. But as of yet, and we're going to see these max rookie extension for guys like Cunningham too in Detroit. Is he really worth a full max extension?
Hell no.
He's going to be getting it from Detroit. So we'll see. JSJ said Raptors ain't going to sign anyone anyways, so good. Might as well overpay for Scotty. Yeah, I think they did overpay for Scotty. But again, that's what the market is allowing, and that's what the markets are signing for. And Joe has no sympathy for Masai Ujiri in Toronto, so I could say that's going to do what they're going to do. So
overrated GM.
Yeah, Cade is going to get the biggest bag of his life here in the not too distant future. He doesn't stay healthy, and when he is healthy, how's he going to
get the bag? He doesn't show anything.
He's eligible for rookie extension. So that's what I think this is what it's saying. So yeah, so he's going to be offered and probably get the full rookie extension. The thing is, though, does he make his teammates better? And my answer is no. So that's why I say I know they love.
How are you going to make teammates better in Detroit?
Yeah. I think he had a good season, Kurt. I don't think he had a great season. I'm going to take a look at that now. Let's go take a look at the numbers. So I don't remember him having a great season last year, but I think he had a good season. 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 3.5. No, that's 20. Okay, let me go ahead and see what his stats are.
Cade Cunningham's game does nothing for me.
20 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. 34% from 3, so he needs to improve that. Yeah, really good season. Pretty good, really good season, Kurt Affair. Is it, I guess it is enough for Toronto to say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and bank on his future. So, and Cade Cunningham, again, does he stay healthy enough for you? Does he make his teammates better? That's the thing. 23 points last year, 4 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 35% from behind the arc. Needs to improve the shooting as well, but again, he's going to get the full bag, Joe.
Good for him.
All right. But on that note, at 90 minutes in, I think we're going to call it a night. But thank you so much again for joining us. We will be back tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, for our live coverage of the NBA draft. If anything really comes up emergency for the Lakers, among other things, I will come up sooner if I can. We'll try to go ahead and do that. But I will be here 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We are doing our live coverage of the NBA draft. Hopefully Joe can chime in on his travels very safely, I might add. Also as well, I'm going to see if I can get as many guys as I can to be a part of our coverage. It's always a fun time when we do the draft and free agency. So hopefully we can have you here as well for live NBA draft coverage. Again, if I'm able to go ahead and get playback on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break, I will do that as well. But I don't see it listed yet, so I will have to contact them directly and find out if that's the case. But I will be here tomorrow on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and looking forward to having a great day. Any last thoughts on this very active evening before we head on out, Joe, and also the eve of the NBA draft?
No.
As always, once again, thank you so much for watching this thing. If you get a chance and you have not seen it yet, you really should catch our NBA mock draft. It was a super fun time with those guys. Those guys were awesome to be here. Big shout out again to Stone Hansen, Upside Swings, and of course, at report_court. Check out his top 75 players. It's right there on Twitter. And also check out his podcast, Upside Swings. He was on today. Laker Tom was making trades. Alfred Esmond from Orlando Magic Daily was there picking for teams. Legend 350 was picking for teams. It was a great time. So hopefully you will join us again. But check that out. NBA mock draft. 4 hours today, Joe. 4 hours of coverage today. We give to you. Hopefully we can do a great bit of hours more tomorrow. And on Thursday, we're looking forward to doing as well. But again, we truly appreciate you following us. Again, please like us on the way out. We need your help. Like us on the way out. And subscribe if you haven't already, because it really helps us out and really helps us get us going. Really helps us out, makes us feel good. Plus also gets you the latest notifications of when we go live right on the air with more NBA observations and anything else we do right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
Rest in peace, Sean, indeed.